Okay, we're back. Round 6 incoming at Nerd Rage Modern 5K. Hope you're enjoying the coverage this weekend. Devin O'Donnell's here with me. We've got Burn versus Amulet Titan this round. There's no way this match lasts very long.
Not nearly as long as the last match.
No.
This is kind of a classic match that we've seen. I mean, ever since Amulet was in, basically created as a deck back in 2011. So we've been seeing this matchup for the better part of the last 10 years. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It should be interesting.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go down the table if the players are ready. Nemo Baize versus Nick Peterson, both players with 1 loss. So still optimistic getting through the top 8. Goblin Guy is a good start. I say this every single time, and I can continue to say it every single time. I really like seeing burn decks with creatures on turn 1, and we've got it here. Too many players start without them, and it just does not go well.
And you saw Nick flip a basic island, which is not something you typically see from Amulet. But I believe, if I have to pull up Nick's deck list, Nick is on the Hydroid Crisis plan. So this is something that I believe it was created by Canister as like a kind of a plan for the Murktide matchup, because that's traditionally been the worst matchup for Amulet. Hydroid Crisis could be pretty good in this matchup if Nick does get enough mana. The life gain is obviously relevant against a deck like Burn.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, gaining life is just okay. It's 2 amulets.
That is, I think, Crumbling.
Did you say if Nykthos makes enough mana? There's Nykthos in this deck?
No, I said Nick.
Oh, okay, Nick. Right, all right. I was like trying to process that for a second. I'm like, I don't think something's wrong here. I must have heard wrong. Okay.
And we got a Dryad. We'll have to see if Nick has a. I think Nick was floating a mana, or no, so not floating a mana. But we get to the Grazer here, and we'll have to see if Nick has a bounce land. That's kind of what we're missing here. We have Dryad, we have multiple amulets, we have all of the mana in the world. If we have a bounce land, and that's going to be the deciding factor here.
Yes, indeed. All right. So does Nemo have a land at all? Looks like the answer is no. So that Eidolon is going to stay in hand. Goblin Guy's obviously not attacking, and Nick Peterson at 10 life, but maybe with quite a bit of time here to work out a way to gain the instrumental advantage.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I saw people in chat asking about Radiant Fountain. There's actually not a Radiant Fountain in Nick's 75. Not even the main deck, not the sideboard either. So
wow. I feel like that's something that you can expect to see a decent amount of the time. Here's a Pact. And with a Vesuva, that would have made a couple mana.
Because we copied the Crumbling Vestige. Yep, that's the extra mana.
I see. Well, and Nemo questioning that.
Yeah, this should be lethal damage. Just gonna go Titan, get which haste land are we playing? We're playing Garrison Stronghold. So Titan, get Garrison Stronghold, untap, haste the Titan, and then on the second trigger, you probably get Valakut Slayer or Valakut Sunhome. Yeah, Vesuva. Well, the Vesuva's in play, so we only have one of those. So we can't get a Vesuva off of the Titan trigger, but
right. Yeah, Valakut would be just fine though. And there are still land drops to be made with Dryad in this Primeval Titan. Actually, I guess the Dryad can attack also. Why not?
Yeah, might as well get it in there. But yeah, this should be more than enough for lethal.
Goblin Guy gets in the way of Primeval Titan.
It's trying,
Well, I guess if blocks are permitted, that means Nick would have missed the attack trigger. So maybe that's what Nemo was hoping for.
Yeah.
Well, we're not
you just throw the Goblin Guy in front of the Titan and just,
Yeah. Two Valakuts, and Nemo will scoop up what few permanents he has. And all right. Well, we'll have plenty of time to digest the deck lists this round. As this game is most definitely over. There's a sideboard. Let's go ahead and look at the main deck for Nemo Baize. As much as burn decks are standardized, you can look for any sort of peculiarities here.
looks like pretty standard stuff.
Yep.
Going back to Nemo's sideboard, definitely going to want the paths, definitely going to want the deflecting palms. I would have to guess that the Searing Blazes and the Skullcracks come out, and I think that's a clean 6 for 6, so pretty straightforward stuff here. I guess you could maybe cut the Helixes instead of the Skullcracks, because you're maybe worried about the presence of Fountain. We know that that's not the case, but Nemo certainly doesn't know that. So
Right. All right, and then looks Nick Peterson on Amulet Titan. And you can see the array here. So the one Hydroid Krasis, not necessarily going to be found in every single deck, every single version, and one Cultivator Colossus.
Yeah, the one basic island as well. And then as we talked about, the absence of Radiant Fountain, which, I feel like that's been pretty standard in Amulet for the better part of it being conceived as a deck, and 0 copies here in the main deck or sideboard. So maybe not too concerned with the burn matchup.
Well, imagine how much he would have won that game by if he'd had Radiant Fountain in his deck. Yeah, so let's go look at the sideboard here. 2 more copies of Hydroid Krasis and 3 Endurance. So plenty of blockers for early creatures if Nick wants them all, or any of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think Nick has a good enough matchup. I don't think he really needs to do all that much here. You might want to consider bringing in Boseiju if you were worried about the presence of something like, I don't know, an Alpine Moon or something along those lines. Maybe Force of Vigor, because Force of Vigor can answer an Eidolon without taking damage off of it, so that's not bad. Maybe Endurance as a blocker, but that one's also 3 mana on the draw, could be kind of awkward. So I don't think Nick needs to do a ton, and there's not a lot here. So
yeah, okay. Well, we'll go back to the table if players are still shuffling up, getting close to the point where we're ready. Well, we're certainly going to have time for the backup match, and maybe as Nemo accidentally reveals a card from his opening hand. Maybe we actually find time for Matt Bamonte's interview from yesterday afternoon, which has been waiting in the wings. But every single round, we seem to have a 10-minute judge extension, and we never get around to playing it.
One of these days.
Yes, indeed. His interview better be worth it for how long we've waited for it at this point. All right. Nemo is not satisfied with having revealed a Rift Bolt. He's like, nope, I'm not giving away information. I'm going to mulligan. I'll rather just not have it in my hand if you're going to know about it. And if Nick Peterson keeps, well, that's bad news for Nemo.
Yeah, anytime your Amulet opponent keeps 7, there's like the sinking feeling, It's just, they have the turn 3. To be fair, their deck is fairly consistent at getting the turn 3, especially with the addition of Urza Saga. If you have Saga on 1, it's just a guaranteed Amulet on 3. So just really, really consistent access to the turn 3 Titan.
Well, maybe it'll be Saga and then Alpine Moon and wiped out, destroyed, but probably not. What is happening? Oh, maybe a sleeve was broken. Maybe that was just Nemo's pregame ritual. I'm not sure.
Okay. We got a Boros Charm, a Deflecting Palm, an Eidolon, and maybe a 1-drop.
1-drop would be ideal. 2 land would be ideal. Can't have everything, so I guess it's just 1 land. No creature. And leading on the Cavern and Grazer, Garrison, no problem. All right, Grazer does its thing. There to block any creatures that may be found in the future.
Yeah, notably, drawing the Boros Garrison can actually be kind of awkward in some situations, because usually you want to have a setup where you have Amulet in play Primeval Titan, get the Garrison and the Stronghold. Now, the Vesuva, having a Vesuva kind of is insurance policy against that. So if you draw the Garrison, you can't fetch it, then you can fetch the Vesuva, which copies the Garrison. But there are some situations that it can make things a little bit awkward sometimes.
All right, so Eidolon of the Great Revel into play here for Nemo. So cheap spells will do damage to Nick Peterson and also to Nemo, I guess, but he's less concerned about that. He's going to die all at once if he's going to die at all. Saga. So oddly enough, Amulet does not have green mana in play on turn 2.
And we know about the Cavern, so if Nick had something like a Dryad, you could have seen Cavern on Dryad, play Dryad, then play the Saga. So Probably safe to assume for Nemo that there is no Dryad in Nick's hand. But yeah, the Saga is going to set up for a potential turn for Amulet of Vigor for Nick, which that's probably the turn where Nick is looking to go off here.
Yeah, there's a Simic Growth Chamber from the Goblin trigger, which Nick Peterson seemed quite pleased about. Picking up a free card and a green source.
Chapter 2, yep, Chapter 2, and then we even have a blocker for the Goblin Cat this turn, or an additional blocker this turn, so basically we're going to take no damage this turn. And then next turn you'll probably see something like float the mana with Saga, get the Amulet, play the Growth Chamber, so on.
All right, Sakura-Tribe Elder.
Naming Snake.
Sakura-Tribe Elder is in there. So the potential Eidolon trigger. Not sure if that happened or not.
Yeah, they didn't point it out, so tough to say.
Oh, we'll see if Nick's life total updates or not. But like you were saying, no route to... Okay, there it was. That actually did look like both players have forgotten it, and then now both players have acknowledged it. And another Growth Chamber.
Yep, so block both, sack the Sakura-Tribe Elder, get a Forest. Next turn, float mana, get the Amulet, play the Growth Chamber, play Titan. I don't think it's going to be lethal damage, but with Nick at a healthy 16, and we'll have to see how Nick sequences, because there is a sideboard card in Nemo's hand, Deflecting Palm. So if Nick does go for a really, really big attack, maybe that Nick's got to basically respect Deflecting Palm. So we'll have to see how he wants to sequence around that card.
Right. I mean, I guess the cleanest route around it is to do smaller chunks of damage, or just go with Valakut's all at once, and not really even worry about it. 3 damage getting reflected, you're not going to care about that.
Well, the cool thing about Valakut is, so if there are, like, let's say there's 1 Valakut and 6 triggers, you can Deflecting Palm the Valakut, I believe, if I recall correctly.
And you get all of it?
Well, the Valakut's a May. Oh, because each trigger is a separate... Okay, right. That's how it works. I wasn't sure if you could choose the Valakut, or you have to choose the individual triggers. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it just gets 1. All right, so here's an Amulet off of the Saga. We know there are 2 Simic Growth Chambers in hand. By itself, one of those is not enough to... Nope, there's already 4 mana in play, so it is. So 1 Growth Chamber would allow a type in here. If Nick has one...
Yeah, we know about the Growth Chamber from the Goblin Guide. So.
Yeah, and Nemo's like, what do you got? Because I'm sitting here, we're both at 16. I like my chances, right? I've got 2 creatures
especially
on the board.
At 16. Yeah.
What are the chances you've drawn a Primeval Titan again?
I guess the consolation prize for Nemo is that Nick has Pact and has to take 2 to play the Titan, but...
This does not look like a person that's tapping out.
Looks like just a Titan. Yeah, no Pact here, just Titan.
Well, there's 1 mana floating from... Oh, there was a Saga land. That's what I'm missing. Okay, yeah, so that is 6. All right.
Yeah, I think Nick was deciding on what color he wanted to float, because sometimes you would want to float a red or a white if you're, like, trying to figure out, okay, well, can I get, like, let's say if Nick floats a white mana there or a red mana, then he can just get, like, a Crumbling Vestige and the Haste Land, then use the Crumbling Vestige, make the other color to activate the Haste Land, rather than have to get Vesuva to copy a Boros Garrison, something along those lines, minor things, but...
All right.
In the grand scheme of things, probably not going to matter.
No, I don't think so. Nemo may be optimistic that some combination of burn spells and maybe Deflecting Palm, maybe Path to Exile, whatever he's got to deal with.
Titan. Oh, actually, Chat makes a good point. Did he not tap a 2nd green to cast that? Because there was 1 colorless floating. So I guess he might need to tap the forest. I might have to just get him to stop here real quick. I mean, he has second green, but yeah, because right, the cavern. The cavern was on Snake. Okay, so we might have to just get that corrected real quick. Just have him tap the forest.
All right, that's all we need. Another questionable. Yes, cavern was definitely on. Well, something involving.
Yeah, cavern was on Snake, I believe.
It was on Sakura-Tribe Elder. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can. Okay, yeah, we might want to just have them double check here. Now, I'm fairly certain that obviously Nick has the forest in place, so he can still cast the Primeval Titan.
Mm-hmm.
But might have to.
Okay. All right. The players say that there was double green, so there was no issue.
Must have been missing something.
All right. So here is Titan. Here are the Valkyrie triggers. Here's a path on the Dryad, which is pretty disappointing to have to path the Dryad when there's a Primeval Titan in play, but at least it doesn't have haste. That's something.
Yeah, you have to because it that answers the Valakut triggers. So.
Right. Nick Peterson's like, well, I'm holding my deck in my hands at the moment, so here's a forest. All right, and we'll just keep on going. Shuffle that up, and I suppose the turn's going to be over here.
Yeah, not going to haste the Titan, but with Nick at Nick at 12. Okay, well that's a good turn for Nemo.
Yeah.
Able to path the Dryad to not have to deal with that, and then have the Boros Charm to put Nick to 8. So
yeah, it's
game's not over yet.
No, absolutely not.
I have to see what Nemo's leftovers are. Maybe another Boros Charm. Doesn't look like they're that great if we're starting off by just sacking the Sunbaked Canyon.
And there is Deflecting Palm.
I think I'm looking at Palm, Path, and then Skewer the Critics, I think is Nemo's hand right now.
Okay.
So just gonna be holding up that Deflecting Palm for as long as possible.
So what can Nemo do? Well, it's not really up to Nemo. It's whether Nick Peterson runs into the Deflecting Palm or not. Yeah.
Which, definitely could happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a sequence where Nick goes, Transmute for. Okay, I guess we're gonna go Pact for Dryad here. So that puts Nick to 6.
Mm-hmm.
Go Pact for Dryad. I believe there was a green floating off of the Growth Chamber. Yeah, because we tapped the Growth Chamber for 2 blue, 2 green.
Mm-hmm.
Use 2 blue and a green to transmute green floating, tap the Garrison, play the Dryad. So this puts Nick to 4, assuming the trigger was remembered.
Mm-hmm.
2 Valakuts. I believe Nick has already played 1 land this turn. So you go pre-combat. Yeah, put Nick goes to 4. So you go pre-combat, play land, but then Nemo has the path for the Dryad. But I guess if you path the Dryad, you go shields down, Deflecting Palm. This is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, but in that case, Nemo won't die this turn, and then we have the Deflecting Palm up next. Plus, I believe you said he had Skewer or some kind of burn spell in his hand.
Skewer,
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming these Dryad triggers are on the stack.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's the point at the game at which we are, and I think Nemo is considering whether or not they want to kill the Dryad or, keep the shields up on the Deflecting Palm. I think you have to kill the Dryad here, yeah.
Okay, so there it is. 2 damage from Eidolon. Dryad gone again. Yeah, Titan attack is not lethal here. So if Nemo drops to 3, still would have the life points to cast a spell. Or conceivably could just attack for the win with the 2 creatures. Yeah, so Nick not even maybe hesitating on attacking here, does decide to go for it.
So
attack and skewer.
Nemo should be at 9,
Right.
I believe.
Yeah,
right.
no,
Assuming
I think you're right.
The Eidolon trigger was corrected.
He indicated his own Eidolon when he played the spell. So assuming the life totals were right before, then he is currently at 9. Yeah.
Is it chat saying it's 7? See, I see that's where I was kind of confused. I wasn't sure if it was 9 or 7. If it's 7, that makes this thing a lot more difficult for Nemo, because if it's at 7, then you can't take the Titan hit. You have to chump block it in order to cast a single spell. But I guess you want the Eidolon to die anyways.
I agree. I thought he was at 9. I thought he was 11 before. But yeah, chat does. Yeah, Table Spotter says 9.
Apparently we just double strike the Titan. Right.
Yeah, okay. I suppose that would do it.
That makes it easier.
All right. So, yeah, see, Radiant Fountain unnecessary. Nick Peterson takes this down 2-0 over Nemo Baize and doesn't. I mean, Nemo drew a couple sideboard cards and it still just wasn't really enough. All right. Backup match is ready. I don't know if it's live or a replay, but let's go ahead and hit us with it. All right. So we're going to watch it from the beginning.
And me and you talked about this deck in the backup match before the round started, and it was an interesting one.
Yeah. Yes, it was, wasn't it? It was it
was labeled as Jeskai
the Hushbringer deck. That's right, the Hushbringer deck. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this going. The players' names are backwards, I am told, and since this is a replay match, it can't be fixed, at least early on. But it is Gabriel Nicholas with Is It Murktide and Justin Andrus with the Hushbringer Jeskai Aggro deck. And I say that it's not probably the Hushbringer deck, but since it has 4 Hushbringers, and that's somewhat unusual, that's what we're going with.
We'll call it Jeskai Hushbringer.
Sure.
There it is.
So, so this is Justin Andrus on the left and Gabriel Nicholas on the right with Is It Murktide.
Yes.
So the Hushbringer leads off with Ragavan.
And we got a Channeler. This should be a pretty interesting matchup. Now,
yeah, I think so too.
Taking a look at this Jeskai aggro deck, there are some interesting card choices. I mean, it's very similar to, in terms of like threats plus iterations plus counter spells. It's probably plays out pretty similarly to Murktide, but the white cards I think are actually going to do some good work in this matchup. You have Teferi, which bounces Murktide and helps play against counter spells. You have Prismatic Ending, which is another clean answer to all the 1-drops, and then couple of copies of the Wandering Emperor, which, if you can resolve that card, got to be pretty good against Murktide.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's Hushbringer. Gabriel Nicholas gives it a read and is like, is that a Hushbringer? And Justin's like, yeah. All right.
Yes, this is game 1 for those of you just tuning in, and Justin has 4 copies of Hushbringer in the main deck.
Which is unfortunate because I don't know if it actually has any impact in this matchup aside from just the body itself.
Yeah, this is probably the one matchup where he doesn't want it in his deck, to be quite honest.
But, I mean, if he had to battle through several 4-color control decks, well, Hushbringer is a great way to do that. All right, Expressive Iteration loads things up. Here's an Esper Sentinel. Gabriel Nicholas is like, all right, thanks, I'll connive.
Yeah, I mean, it does trigger the Shredder, but not a terrible turn for Justin here.
Yeah.
See if Justin maybe has a follow-up of like a Prismatic Ending to answer that Shredder, potentially found a Prismatic Ending off of the iteration.
All right, there's Esper Sentinel doing its thing, taxing mana. If nothing else, making it harder for Gabriel to actually connive on this Ledger Shredder.
Yeah, somebody in chat asked if Hushbringer stops Murktide from entering the battlefield with counters. It does not, because Hushbringer specifically says, I believe it's the wording is abilities don't trigger, but the Murktide region entering the battlefield it's not a triggered ability, so it doesn't stop the counters from going on the Murktide.
If Hushbringer stopped the Murktide counters, then Lightning Bolt would be able to kill Murktide before the counters went on the play. Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, if you're actually up on the rules knowledge, the difference between as something comes into play or when it comes into play trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If there's a when, that creates a trigger.
Yeah. Whoever said Magic was complicated was out of their mind. As we sit through multiple on-camera delays for rule violations and such. Anyway, here's an attack from Hushbringer. I'm sorry, from Ledger Shredder. By Gabriel Nicholas. Now, Hushbringer, does Hushbringer have lifelink? I feel like it does.
Yeah, it's a 1/2 flying lifelink.
All right, so there's an attack 3 for 3. So this will net, Gabriel will net 1 damage on the exchange. But he may be thinking, well, first of all, he may well be thinking, I have no idea what the heck my opponent's playing at this point. So if he's misjudging his role, that would be entirely reasonable.
Yeah, there's the prismatic ending, which I have to believe was probably found off of the iteration, because if Justin had the prismatic ending in his hand, he probably would fire that off prior to the iteration to not trigger the Shredder. Right. So likely found off of the iteration. And there's another 2-drop in Justin's deck, and he's fetching free combat, so we'll see if we get to see it here. And we are. So this is something there is 4 copies of this card as well in Justin's deck. 4 copies of Luminarch Aspirant. Which is a card that, yes, this is a Pioneer card. You probably haven't seen a lot of it in Modern. This does a couple of good things, even on this board specifically. It pumps up the Esper Sentinel, which makes Gabriel's spells a little bit more awkward, having to pay more mana for the tax. And you can also pump the Hushbringer to get a bigger lifelink flyer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So,
not that big, though. There's a Murktide Regent for Gabriel Nicholas. The spell pierce in the hand to try and protect it.
Yeah, and as we talked about before, Hushbringer not doing a lot against this Murktide.
Right.
Now, however, I will say, go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're staying on theme for the last few rounds, then there will be some kind of violation here and a judge call, and we'll sit here for 10 minutes. But yep, the Murktide comes in with 2 counters. Okay.
We figured it out. But yeah, we were going back to Justin's deck list. Now, normally white, you would think that maybe like what you associate white with Solitude and things like that. Justin does have Teferi Time Raveler X4 in his deck, so that is probably the single best answer to Murktide, because the rest of his removal's not touching it, prismatic ending, lightning bolt, that kind of stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have the names corrected. Here's another Luminarch Aspirant. All right. Can Hushbringer get big enough to tangle with Murktide Regent, or at least Dragon Rage Channeler? Well, I guess that's for sure, since it's a 1/1. But yeah, this is interesting. And Gabriel Nicholas kind of, if he's having the board here, like, you're in the wrong format. Get out of here with this.
Oh, boy.
All right. So that's now a 3-powered lifelink flyer.
Yeah, and I mean, to be completely honest with you, if Gabriel doesn't kill these, if Gabriel can't kill these Luminarch Aspirants, this Hushbringer's going to get out of control. So
yeah, and Justin picks up a card there from Gabriel's end of turn cantrip because of the 2-powered Esper Sentinel, and there's a Lightning Bolt. That's not going to kill Hushbringer.
No, you can kill one of the Aspirants, but
I mean, you can kill Esper Sentinel as long as you're willing to pay 3 mana.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, the Spell Pierce in hand, not in fact, is there 2 Spell Pierce in hand? I think there are. I think they have different artwork, but I think there's 2.
I know I saw Island, Bolt, Iteration, Spell Pierce. I couldn't quite tell what that last 5th card was.
Yeah, tell your friends. We're not going to have too many games like this today, I don't think. People are going to have to watch this one. Murktide Regent's like, I guess I'll attack. I may not be able to block next turn.
Yeah, normally you want to hold that back on defense. Probably not now.
And, all right, Justin's at 10. I guess the Dragon Rage Channeler did more damage than I realized.
Yeah, I think Justin had... Well, I mean, I'm assuming the Sacred Foundry came into play untapped, and I think... He may have tapped the Sunbaked Canyon once or twice, so might have been a little bit painful with his lands. But yeah, the Dragon Rage Channeler did a lot of work this game.
Yeah, so Justin considering a block here, I feel like, I mean, even though there's some risk potentially, if you don't block here, I don't think you can.
And with chump blocking, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that because
wow, there it is. Okay, so Justin, this is a conservative route. The main problem here is I feel like you now have lost your kind of best way to gain life back to race the Murktide.
Right, because Justin didn't have a direct answer to the Murktide in his hand, but he didn't
Mhm.
necessarily need one because if you just keep loading up counters in the Hushbringer,
Right.
and Gabriel can't kill it, then you can just kind of outpace the Murktide, but do it that way. So,
all right, Prismatic Ending on Dragon Rage Channeler. It is unfortunate for Justin, although there's no way for him to know, that he chose to play the spells in this order. If he led with Teferi, it would have gotten. I guess it would have gotten double Spell Pierce. This way, it'll get single Spell Pierced.
yeah, interesting. Maybe he's thinking about holding the Teferi for a turn. I mean, well, you can't though, right? You have to play it this turn. I think there's a Hushbringer is the other card. It's hard to tell.
All right, so a couple counters here. Spreading them out. In for
Spreading
6.
the love.
Okay, well, that's a pretty sizable attack.
I wonder if we're just gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can just race it straight up right now. This may be an Archmage's Charm stealing the Sentinel.
No,
We're just gonna bolt and pay 2.
This is bolt paying 2. Yeah. All right. So Esper Sentinel's down. That would be not our base charm. There would have been pretty sick.
Yeah.
But okay, 4 damage comes across here. So now we're gonna see Teferi. This is gonna eat a spell pierce.
That's gonna get pierced. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is gonna fall apart real quickly for Justin Andrus, who was looking decent there. But a couple of choices he made, even if they made sense at the time, didn't line up well with what Gabriel had. And now Gabriel's looking pretty strong.
Yeah, now Gabriel could just go iteration, hold up counterspell. I think Justin's last card was not very meaningful, so whatever card Justin's draws just gets counterspelled. And I guess, oh yeah, that's right. For some reason I was thinking that Justin was still at 10, but he did gain 3 life off of the Hushbringer, so this Murktide is not necessarily a 2-turn clock. Now, if Gabriel finds a second Murktide, that's a different story.
Right. And we know there's another Spell Pierce waiting, and if Teferi is the primary way to deal with Murktide, I guess Spell Pierce can't stop a Teferi right now as long as Justin just draws it instead of having to cantrip into it or something like that.
Yeah, if Justin just rips at Teferi for the turn, you have 5 mana, and given that Justin got Spell Pierce the turn before, he'll probably play around it. So
yeah,
if he can afford to.
Oh, but you're right about that counterspell being in hand also. So even then, it won't make a difference. Okay. I mean, these Luminarchs are growing.
This is what, 6?
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of a 2-turn clock, right? This is 6 and then 8?
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
All right. Yeah, 6 and then 8. Okay. Gabriel goes to 7. We have a Hushbringer, which doesn't look great, but it is a chump blocker. Yeah, Gabriel just kind of has to fire that off. You can't give Justin a chump blocker here. So Justin should be at 8, correct? Because that would be 13 minus the hit last turn. So with the Ragavan, that's 7. Okay, so that should put Justin to 3.
Yeah, the Ragavan might need to block because I think Gabriel is at
Gabriel should be at 7, yeah.
Right. And now there's an Archmage Charm in hand. So Justin's gonna need 2 cheap things in order to get through this, but if he finds them, another Aspirant. There's a Lightning Bolt. That's not gonna help.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's one of the things he. Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. This is going to counter it, and then Aspirant is 1 extra damage, right? And I think Gabriel's at 7.
No, because if you play Aspirant,
but the Ragavan's still there.
You just blocked the bigger one.
Yeah, I forgot the Ragavan was still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so do see the life totals updated now.
This has been a sweet game.
Yeah, it's it's neat. Here's a third aspirant, which is a little bit feudal.
Yeah, not quite.
Here's an
Chump
attack
block, take
block.
4.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we had the life totals wrong. I think we do. Yeah. Okay.
Nope, they're right. Okay, so Gabriel Nicholas wins game 1 against the peculiar Hushbringer deck that put up somewhat of a fight there and looked a little dangerous.
That was a super interesting game. Very conservative play to chump block the Murktide that one turn instead of trying to just take a hit, grow the Hushbringer. That might have been the turning point of the game. But yeah, very surprising to see that Luminarch Aspirant looked really good those games.
It did. It was impressive. All right, let's get game 2 rolling and see if things go a little different here for Justin and his Hushbringer deck. Yeah, I very much like the Luminarch Aspirant counters going on Esper Sentinel is a pretty nice trick. Going on Hushbringer and Life. I mean, that looked good overall.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on there. And we got a Bolt for a Ragavan. Have to see if Justin has one of the signature 2-drops. I assume there is 8 of them, so. Whoa, that's a sideboard card. See if we can get that up on the screen. That is Malevolent Hermit.
Right. So this is a mana leak for spells, and then I believe, and then returns as a 2/2 flyer, and then your non-creatures can't be countered. Yep, there you go.
Yep, disturbs for 3.
So another card that is more often seen in Pioneer, but does do some work in other formats.
Yeah, I feel like Justin's maybe been playing a lot of Pioneer, and if he's like, okay, how can I get these cards into Modern?
This creature has 2 power, yes?
Yeah, I think the idea of leaving it back is to play around Dash Ragavan.
You're right. That makes sense.
And if you can, it's cool because if you trade off the Malevolent Hermit, then you can just flash it back the next turn, and you all of a sudden have this threat that makes it so your stuff is better against counterspell. Obviously, it's still the flashback creature could die on Holy Heat, but so we're gonna go after Teferi, trigger the Shredder. Very similar to game 1, we'll have to see if Justin has a copy of Prismatic Ending to answer the Shredder. Maybe a something like a Luminarch Aspirant to get the ball rolling.
All right.
One thing worth noting, Justin has 2 copies of Sunbaked Canyon, so already down to 14 after only casting 3 spells.
Oh, that's a little bit rough. So fetch here can clean it up a little. Well, at the cost of some more life points, at least can stabilize. Yeah, and his life he did take his dropped pretty quickly last game. Also, feel like Dragon Ridge Challenger hit once and then he was at 10 all of a sudden.
So, is he thinking of getting a shock? Uh-oh.
I think he probably is because he can't get an island off of the Arid Mesa. So that is where he's at. Does this deck have Narset also? I know we talked about a deck that had Narset.
No, that was the Team Control deck.
Oh, this is the Wandering Emperor deck. That's right.
Yes. All right, does have the ending.
Another Hermit. Okay.
I'll have to see if maybe Justin boarded in something like a Death Shadow. I don't know.
Huh. I mean, that would certainly work right now. He's doing plenty of damage to himself, down to 9 already. And well, Gabriel's not going to be putting too much on the board here with Expressive Iteration, but does have removal spells in hand. Although, are you super excited about killing a creature that has
just comes back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Arguably, it's better on the back half, anyways.
Perhaps.
Looks like we're asking a judge question. Understandably so. Wonder what he could be asking here. What are you thinking?
I don't really have maybe it has to, I don't know. I got nothing for you.
Something to do with Disturb maybe and how Disturb works.
Sure. That could fit. Ooh. I didn't love that. I think that card went to hand and then he changed his mind.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. So he's seeing Justin take so much damage from his lands. He decides to even that up a little bit. Steam vents into play.
Gotta make it
untapped
fair.
there. Yeah, exactly. And 2 Unholy Heats. All right.
Okay, so removal spell not the best against Hermit, but it is 3 mana to flashback, so it's something that's going to be over the course of the next couple of turns. Can't necessarily deploy them both this turn. So
yeah. Well, we could see. I believe Dash Ragavan was the draw. I mean, Ragavan was the draw. We could dash that and then bring back one of the Hermits. Instead, it's just going to be bring a Hermit back anyway.
So painful.
And then play the Ragavan. Okay. All right.
Justin's at 7, and Gabriel hasn't attacked with a single creature this game.
Oh, this is extreme. Another expressive iteration.
This is rough.
So this backside of Malevolent Hermit, I believe it's your creatures can still be countered, right? It's just your spells they can't?
Non-creature spells.
Yeah, okay. So Wandering Emperor also has a life gain option. There's a Lightning Bolt.
That's half of Justin's life total.
Yeah, pretty dangerous at this point. But it does
going
take
after
down
Ragavan. Bobble, take a peek at Justin's top.
Hey, it's a Canopy land.
Hey, another Canopy land, just what the doctor ordered. Yeah, we can start sacking him, I guess. I mean, I would imagine that Justin probably wants to flashback or disturb the other Hermit here. Yeah, only going to tap 1 pain land this time.
Even to draw a card off a Canopy land, you got to take a point here. Here. This is rough. Down to 6. Although Gabriel's at 8.
That is true. This is a 2-turn clock. Gabriel did a lot of damage himself too.
Well, that's
the judge call was what the mana value of the back half of those are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Explosives for 2 does take down a couple of. Ooh, then Murktide.
Exiled, right? I think they're exiled.
Yeah, they are.
So. Yeah.
And here is a Murktide Regent, which is, well, let's see. If Justin's gonna take a painted draw, maybe.
I have to imagine that thing's got to be an 8/8, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to make it an 8/8 because it is, just lethal as a 6/6.
That's true.
Or even 5/5. So we're gonna make it. I think he did 3 spells. Yeah, 3 spells.
Well, I had high hopes for this Hushbringer deck, and it looked like it might be on its way game 1, but this game has not gone as well. I guess sacrificing half of your life total to lands is not a good way to race.
Not great. Well, the idea is you just Hushbringer, right? So you go Hushbringer, and then you play the Luminarch Aspirant, so all these pain lands kind of get, get sort of canceled out by the Hushbringers.
Yeah, that would be ideal. Teferi would be good here, at least as a temporary reprieve. I think there's one in hand.
Yeah, this kind of buys you a turn, sort of.
Players correcting life totals. Justin's like, yeah, I'm taking all this land damage. You're taking your land damage also. Canopy lands are a scourge to our existence. All right, Teferi, bounce that Murktide. So Gabriel will benefit somewhat from not having exiled too many spells the first time around.
And I feel like, well, no, Justin did have the 2/2/2s. I was going to say Justin hasn't attacked with much this game, but did have the 2 Hermits attacking for a little bit. So
for a couple points. All right, so here's not the biggest, 4/4. That might be good enough. It is lethal.
Justin is at 4. Yeah.
All right, we cash in another Sunbaked Canyon. I think we do.
Probably have to at this point. I don't know what you're looking for, though. Gabriel's at 6, so Bolt's not lethal. Find a couple of Bolts, but... Okay, into 2 Bolts. There's 1. Yeah, only 1 Bolt.
Oh, is there a Snapcaster in hand?
No Snapcaster in the 75.
Darn it.
I wish. I think it was... I think the iteration's a Bolt and 2 lands... And I think the leftovers were... I don't even remember.
All right, Justin's going to give up some more life points. The Murktide's already lethal. Doesn't matter if he goes lower.
Yeah, you can go all the way. You can go all the way to 1 at this point.
All right.
I guess you
3
can
is.
pop a Canopy land and hope to draw a Bolt. That's
Then
his
you only
out.
have. Then you only,
Doesn't look like a Bolt.
Okay, so attack. Yep, and there it is. So Gabriel Nicholas does defeat Justin Andrus with his very inventive Jeskai Hushbringer deck. That was kind of that was cool. We're not supposed to be biased, but I would have liked to see game 3. I would have liked to see Justin get a game there. It's not to be the case. All right, so that's 6 rounds of Swiss. We're through. That felt like a short round, even though we watched 2 matches because the neither one was particularly long. Devin O'Donnell, I think are you out of here now?
I am. I think
All
that was
right.
my last round. So
All right.
it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of had a good time. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, you're always welcome here. Great. Why don't you so you stream a lot? Is it at Doomwake just like it is before on your name there on the
Yep, right
channel?
below
So
my
people
name. That's the Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube handles. So
All right. So if you're in the area, you may see Devin at RCQs coming up in the near future, still trying to qualify for Atlanta. Good luck, man. I hope to see you there. I guess I was stand corrected. You said you're gonna be there regardless, right?
yeah, I'll be there regardless.
All right. Well, then good chance at the last chance qualifiers. Maybe you'll be the one people are watching for the new day 1 tech with the Brothers War being legal. All right. So Becky Bell's going to join me for the last couple rounds as well as the elimination rounds tonight. We're playing all the way through the finish today. So we're going to step away for a break now. We're going to play the interview that Matt Monte filmed yesterday. So that's going to run right now. And then we'll move into the break and then we'll be back for round 7. So thanks for being here for Nerd Rage Gaming. Follow if you're enjoying the content and we'll be right back.